Have you had fun? Excellent. I want to introduce these guys back here. They're not very pretty, but they lift heavy things. Go ahead, stand up, guys. So those are Firefighter Recruits. We run a Firefighter Recruit Candidate Academy here at UVU. We've got a fire engine. We've got 4 engines. We've got a truck. We've got the Fire Evolutions Lab. We can do anything that is required for state certification for firefighting and hazmat. So we have those programs available. One of the things that they learn at a very early part of their fire service career is the incident command system. The incident command system is a beautiful thing. You can run a project that you want to work on at school. You can run Thanksgiving dinner using the ICS system and the principles there. And you can run incidents like Hurricane Katrina, all with incident command. So, you guys that work, some of you that work already, some of you, who has a bad boss? Yeah. Some of you have a bad boss, and I'll bet you that you could tell me some stories about that boss that violate these principles of incident command. Has the boss ever asked you to do something and you go and do it, and when you say, hey, I got that done, he said, well, why did you do that? Well, you told me to. No, I didn't. Do you have that boss? Yeah. So clear lines of communication, clear means they have to give you the resources, right? They have to train you. They can't expect you to do something if you haven't been trained to do it, right? So, span of control. How many of you have bosses that are managing way too many people? They don't even know your name, right? They don't even know your name. Span of control, especially in emergency type of a situation, is around 3 to 7. 5 is optimal. If I start to manage 8, 9, 10 engine companies, 10 accountants, 10 teachers, I start to lose track of what their needs are and so on. So there's a span of control. If we really want to manage effectively, we have to do it with a little bit smaller group of people. Who knows what micromanaging means? Micromanage. Anyone have a micromanager boss? Right? The boss tells you to do something, and then he's looking over your shoulder the whole time you're doing it. Right? He doesn't trust your work. Well, either he hasn't trained you or he wants to micromanage you. So the other principle that ICS is train people, give them the tools, give them the education necessary, send them on the task, and then leave them alone. Now, along with that comes accountability, right? Because when the boss says go and do it, and then you don't do it properly, there's either retraining or there's accountability. And the same thing happens in incident management. So, let's look at Thanksgiving dinner. We'll make Grandpa the incident commander. Grandpa's the incident commander. What does Grandpa say? I'd like a Thanksgiving dinner, but I don't want turkey this year. I want ham. Yeah? I know, it's a poor decision, but he's the incident commander. So, he designates an operations chief. Who's the operations chief? Grandma. Grandma's going to make it happen because Grandma can do ham, turkey, beef, whatever, right? But we have an incident commander who has designated him. The operations chief then, does she say, you know what? We're not going to have ham, Grandpa. We're going to have roast beef this year. Grandpa doesn't want roast beef. Roast beef for Thanksgiving? Who does that? Right? The operations section chief cannot change the direction that the incident commander is going. If that's the case, then why have an incident commander? Why have one person accountable for the decisions? Now, if the whole family shows up and it's like, ham? Why are we doing ham? Right? Now the incident commander is accountable for those decisions. But nevertheless, the whole organization's got to move forward, right? So, Grandma has a lot to do. Does Grandma have a budget? Yeah, Grandma has a budget. Everybody has a budget. And so, Grandma's going to go out there and buy ham, but how much ham does she buy? How much ham would Grandma buy? What are some of the obvious questions that Grandma needs to ask? How many people are coming? Which house are we having it at? How many ovens do I have available? Okay, so there are some factors there, right? Is there any amount of planning that has to go on with that Thanksgiving dinner? Yeah. Can there be a plans chief? Somebody's mom, right? Auntie so-and-so is going to be the plans chief, and she's going to say, okay, Grandma, here's the deal. We got 33 people, and then if we invite the neighbors, or if so-and-so comes, so we've got a contingency, we maybe ought to buy a little more than we probably need, and we're going to have 77 pounds of potatoes. We're going to have 6.5 gallons of gravy, and so on. So planning is going to then say, all right, if the incident commander wants ham for Thanksgiving dinner, there's a whole bunch of other things that have to go on. Planning says we can do it, and this is the plan. Who is logistics? Who gets to go to the store and purchase all this stuff? In your family, who does that? Mom. Whoever mom is. Mom is a generic term for anybody important. So mom goes to the store, buys the 77 pounds of what was it, potatoes? 6.5 gallons of gravy. She buys all of these things and brings it in, and who pays the bills? Mom and dad, right? Because dad's money's mom's money. So dad pays the bills. Dad is accounting and finance. And dad says, man, ham, really? When I could have got turkeys for, yeah, but the incident commander wanted ham. So you have to pay for ham. The point is, everybody has a role, and you stay in your lane. Okay? So if on the job, if at school, you've been put in charge of a group to accomplish a particular task by a teacher, and you have someone in that group that hijacks it. They start making decisions. Oh, that's dumb, let's do it this way. That's somebody usurping that chain of command. And when you do that on an emergency scene with all of that chaos and everything that's happening in the middle of a very time constraint issue, you don't have a lot of time to make decisions. These are life and death decisions. Some type of management tool is necessary so that I, as an incident commander, don't have to think. Because I don't want to think. I don't want to think, man, who's going to do that? How will we ever get that accomplished? If I need ventilation in a house fire, I put an engine company in charge of ventilation, and I say, vent the structure. And I'm done as an incident commander. Now what does the ventilation unit leader do? They vent the structure. They look at the structure and go, hey, I think we better use horizontal and positive pressure ventilation on this one. So they're going to go ahead and set up ventilation. As an incident commander, I can't go there and move the fans. I didn't want it there, I wanted it over here. That's micromanaging, right? If I want something specific, I say, go ahead and vent the structure. I'd like it horizontal. Okay. Then the ventilation unit leader, whoever that company is, trained, qualified, they know how to do it, and as I look up and I see it occurring, I go, right on. I don't have to go up and fix anything. I don't have to adjust anything. It's all been done because they've been trained, they've been given the proper tools, they know what to do, they've practiced, they've done it, they've got some experience. I don't have to worry about it. That's the kind of boss you want to be. You want to be able to give people assignments, make sure that they have the training tools and technology, and then get out of the way. And when they do a great job, what should I do? Give them credit. Well, guess what? I'm the boss, but it's the team that made it happen. And every time you do that, what does the team think of you as an incident commander? That guy's all right. When your people do good things, give them credit. So, resource management. We don't want, do the math for me, hurry, 77 times 2, 150, huh? 154. Thank you, high school. You don't want 154 pounds of potatoes because 2 people went and bought potatoes. That was only one person's assignment. But if you say, wow, we should probably have 77 pounds of potatoes, but I'm not sure who's going to do it, and somebody thinks, you know what, I'll go do it. Someone else thinks, you know what, I should probably go do that on my way home. Pretty soon you have 154 pounds of potatoes. So the resource management is important. The duplication of effort is eliminated because everybody has a job and everybody knows that job and they stay in their lane. And that's so important. That's what we teach young firefighters to do. Stay in their lane. If they are the nozzleman on engine 3, they don't drop their nozzle and move over to engine 2 and pick up the nozzle and go in. Does that make sense? They stay in their lane. They don't do things outside of their training or outside of their responsibility. Everybody has a responsibility. Everybody knows what that responsibility is, and everybody stays in their lane. And everybody communicates vertically. So everybody has a boss. I have a boss. You have a boss. Your parents have bosses. President Holland has a boss. We all have bosses. And we only communicate with the people that we have accountability to in an incident command system. Okay? And those of you that were in the breakout, we watched that breakout. It kind of felt like, wow, nobody knows what they're doing. It's kind of that way, and it brings sense to that chaos. And in 45 minutes, we can't teach you all the principles of ICS and have you apply it properly. But you guys did a pretty good job. You got the gist. That there's a hierarchy. And along that hierarchy is accountability. And if you think about that, you can apply it to school, church, family, jobs, projects you have at school, the big harvest dance or whatever it's going to be. Think of that organizational structure. You don't want the person in charge of that dance to have to do it all. So what do? They delegate. Grandma delegates to get the job done. You all already understand this, you just don't know that it's already been codified by FEMA. You know that this is nationally required? That the same incident command system that we use in Utah is used in Delaware, is used in Puerto Rico right now with the hurricane? The same system. It's universal. It can expand. There's a car accident on 400 North Main. That's run using an incident command system. There's command established, and as that incident, if for whatever reason it got bigger, in the case of a hazardous materials leak that maybe got bigger, the organization gets bigger. And as you get a handle on the problem, the organization gets smaller. It breathes, it's living. I add people, or as I handle things, I take people away, or I reassign them. It's a beautiful thing. So hopefully, in this leadership that you've listened to a lot of people today, I hope that what you're understanding or taking away is everybody has a boss. There has to be a boss. Because somebody is ultimately accountable to make a decision. When you have 2 or 3 people giving you direction and vision, you don't know which way to go. Everybody is trained. Everybody should be fully competent to operate within their scope. And when you're asked to do something that's outside of your scope, you have to say, you know what, I don't know how to do that. And good bosses know who their people are and who can do what. We don't try to manage too many people. You heard about being honest and intimate with employees or other people. And what that means is you keep people close. You keep people close, you understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you don't stretch them beyond their means. And sometimes we do stretch them if we want them to learn. So, it's flexible. It's something that you use every day. It's something that your family will use to plan Thanksgiving, and they won't even know they're doing it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's really nice to see you all here. I like the way the future looks. If any of you are thinking about being emergency responders, firefighters, paramedics, hopefully you'll come through our program and we can teach you this more in depth. And this is a business model as well as an emergency management model. You can apply this in the office just like you would on the street. So if you're curious, this system is called Nims, the National Incident Management System, Nims, N-I-M-S. You'll find it on the FEMA website. There are very quick, short little online courses that you can take to learn more about it. And then critically think and say, how can I apply this to school? How can I apply this to home? How can I apply this to my job? And let me tell you who will take notice. Parents will take notice. Bosses will take notice. Teachers will take notice that, wow, that kid is really buttoned down. Did you see them just take the reins of that assignment and delegate and manage that thing beautifully? So you'll be able to do that with a little more confidence as you learn a little bit more about Nims, the National Incident Management System, which the Incident Command System is a part of. Hopefully you've had fun. I know that you probably want to hear Voice Line. I think they're coming up. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, you see these guys back here, if you want to mingle with them. They're not very fun to talk to, but we tolerate them. Thank you, guys. Good luck in your future.